What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be taking a closer look at the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's world title fight at 168 pounds between the world champion Armando Resendiz and the challenger Jaime Munguia. Guys, before we continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please remember to hit subscribe right now, like this video, and pin in the comment section below is a link to allow you to join our world famous Johnny Says Boxing VIP betting Discord. Become a JSB insider now. It's a couple bucks a month. You get all my picks, all my parlays, insider information, but more importantly, you get to become part of our growing professional betting community. Click that link to find out more. All right, guys, this week is stacked with big fights, world title fights. If you've been playing along, been paying attention to the channel, you know about what's going on in Japan with Inoue and Nakatani. You know about this card. We already featured the main event between David Benavidez and Gilbert Zurdo Ramirez. But in this video, what we're going to do is break down another world title fight at 168 pounds between the newly minted full world champion Armando Toro Resendiz taking on Jaime Munguia. The last time you saw Jaime Munguia, he was on a redemption tour. We know about Munguia's style. We know about that record. And he has a few blemishes on that record. One of them was to Canelo, but one of them was an upset of the year sort of loss. Shocking in his hometown in Mexico, in which the undefeated Bruno Sirache entered enemy territories and was down on the cards in literally every moment of the fight except one, and he knocked out Munguia with one punch. Times had passed. Munguia called for the rematch. He ends up going to the Middle East to rematch Sirache and won a decision. That was last May. This is his next fight. In his opponent, we're talking about Armando Resendiz, a guy who's been known to come in as an underdog. We know he's coached by Coach Manny Robles. He recently fought last May as well against Caleb Plant, a fight in which he went into this fight as a plus 600 dog. That fight was a parlay killer on my books. I remember that like it was yesterday. I don't know anybody, at least in my ethos, who took Armando Resendiz. He went against the odds and showed his nickname well. They call him Toro for a reason. He outworked, outpunched, outbullied, and out-operated Caleb Plant, the heavily favorited Caleb Plant, to win that fight. And then months later, due to what happened at 168 with Bud Crawford becoming the undisputed champion, winning all the belts from Canelo, and then retiring, belts were vacant, and Armando Resendiz was elevated. And fast forward to this weekend, we are going to have Armando Resendiz's first defense of that world title fight. So in this video, what we're going to do is go over both fighters' careers. We're going to talk a little bit about how they go about their business. And like always, stay tuned to the end of the video. That's where I'll be going over the current Las Vegas odds, and I'll be giving you my prediction, telling you where to put your money. Guys, this is an all-Mexican firefight on Cinco de Mayo weekend. I've been super excited about this fight since it got scheduled. I like both guys. Jaime Munguia is a guy who was known for this incredible record. People would question his opponents, an inflated record per se, and he'd get into decent fights, he'd fight some good opponents, and he kept winning. Some of his wins were questionable decisions, but he can't control what the scorecards or the judges write on those scorecards. We did see as he was leveling up, those knockouts started disappearing. He had one of these records with a high knockout to win ratio until he started leveling up, and this happens a lot in boxing. I personally never held that against him. Munguia is a guy who is always going to come in shape. He's big for the division. He's come up from lower weight classes. This fight's at 168. And I like how he was operating against Sirache in the second fight. The first fight that didn't go his way, it was a mental lapse. He had Sirache on the ropes. Sirache was a counterpuncher, didn't throw a lot of volume. I think the entire fight, Sirache, up until the knockout, had only landed roughly around 50 punches, and one punch landing right on the button stopped Munguia. Munguia was there flat on his back in the canvas in Mexico, and the pictures went viral of all the guys ringside in shock. I was in shock. I think everybody else was as well, considering Sirache going to that fight, I think, had under 5 professional knockouts. So nobody was really seeing that. Puts his hand up, says he wants to get the get back, gets the get back later on in that year, and here we are. Resendiz also has kind of a head scratcher knockout loss, similar to Jaime Munguia. A couple years back, he got stopped against Elijah Garcia, a punch that landed right on the button. And since then, he's been perfect. He lost a fight early on in his career, but since he's linked up with Coach Manny Robles, we've seen a lot of good things from him. This is kind of like an X factor. We talked about it in the Brandon Figueroa Nick Ball fight, another Manny Robles coach fighter, in which you see these guys go in as underdogs, and with the game plan, the execution, and more importantly, in my opinion, coming from a coach myself, the trust between a fighter and a coach. You could watch Resendiz against Plant mid-exchange, listening and being connected to Coach Manny, taking instructions in the pocket, angling, throwing to the body, working the head, and operating in the firefight, which is a really unique skill to be able to do when the lights are on and in the firefight, taking advice from the coach and applying it. And this is exactly the connection Robles and Resendiz has. It's going to be an interesting fight. Resendiz is going into this fight as an underdog. Both guys are known as volume punchers. In recent form, I'd have to say Munguia's statistics are decreasing. You could Google that. You could look it up. He used to average around 70 punches per round. That has recently decreased below 55 to 60. And Resendiz is a guy in his most recent form is actually elevating. His most recent fights, he's averaging closer to 70 punches thrown per round. So keep that in mind. Right now, I do want to take a closer look at the challenger, Jaime Munguia, and see what he's been up to in his career. Guys, Jaime Munguia is 45-2. Of his 45 wins, 35 of them come by way of knockout. Of his 2 losses, he's been stopped once. Out of 1,770 fighters in the world at 168, he's ranked number 7. He's fought a career total of 239 pro rounds and carries into the ring a 78% career knockout to win ratio. The 29-year-old Mexican is a 6-foot orthodox fighter with a 72-inch reach. He was born and raised and lives in Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. We last saw him fight Bruno Sirache the second time, 26-0-2, won a UD in the 12th. Bruno Sirache the first time, 25-0-2, he got knocked out in the 6th. Eric Bazignan, 32-0, stopped him in the 10th. Canelo, 60-2, he lost a decision in the 12th. John Ryder, 32-6, he stopped him in the 9th. And the fight before that, he fought Sergey Derevyanchenko, a tough night out for anybody. Since he started leveling up, they have been pairing him appropriately, in my opinion. The recent version of Munguia, considering his style, pressure forward, volume, he gets hit a lot, doesn't really like moving his head. His footwork isn't that great. His jab is decent. Munguia has gotten by with his grit and durability and just his willingness to be in a firefight and his determination to win these fights. That alone is why I've always been a fan of Munguia. I haven't been one of these guys that hate on Munguia, and going into fight week, I have been torn, literally 50-50 up until an hour of making this video. I've done all my film study as usual. I did a bunch of polls on my Instagram and in our Discord, which I'll show you the stats in a little bit. And Jaime Munguia's best days, are they behind him? Are they in front of him? Will he level up? That version against Sirache the first time, is that a sign of things to come? Getting hit with one punch by a guy who's not really a puncher and getting stopped? Now, we know Resendiz could punch, and we know he's going to be much more dangerous than Bruno Sirache. Both guys have similar styles. I feel that this is going to be meat in the middle, and who will start to fade? Who will be the one to push the other one back? Neither guy really likes to box off the back foot, so I feel the advantage will go to the guy who could win the center exchanges and force their opponent to punch off of the back foot. That should be one of the most interesting storylines throughout the fight for you guys to pay attention to. Right now, let's look at the champion, Armando Resendiz, and see what he's been up to in his career. Guys, Armando Resendiz is 16-2. Of his 16 wins, 11 of them come by way of knockout. Of his 2 losses, he got stopped once. Out of 1,770 fighters in the world at super middleweight, he's ranked number 22. He's fought a career total of 101 pro rounds and carries in the ring a 69% career knockout to win ratio. His adoring fans know him as Toro, and the 27-year-old Mexican is a 5'10" orthodox fighter with a 69-inch reach. He was born in Guayabitos, near Mexico, but calls Southgate, California, USA home. We last saw him fight Caleb Plant, 23-2, won a split decision in the 12th. Politza, 5-2, stopped him in the 5th. Elijah Garcia, 15-0, he got stopped in the 8th. Jared Hurd, 24-2, he stopped him in the 10th. In the fight before that, he won via second round knockout against Herbert Rondon. Armando Resendiz, I think about a 27-year-old kid who's still figuring his style up. They call him Toro for a reason. That's something that you could expect if you've never seen him fight. He's going to be in your face. He's going to rely on his pressure. He's going to trust in his gas tank, trust in his strength and conditioning, and know that he's fit enough to continue this fast-paced style throughout an entire fight. We watched him go up against a much bigger Caleb Plant and execute this style perfectly. Jaime Munguia will not be as big as Caleb Plant was, and if you look in prior fights, especially early on in Resendiz's career, he's fought up all the way over 180. He took a handful of fights at 174, but even early on in his BoxRec days, he weighed in at 185 in a fight. The reason why I say that is he's more muscle bound. It's very rare that you could see these guys who carry more muscle but has the engine to equal it, and he's one of these guys. I love his coach. I love his corner. I love the game plans. Over the last few years, I've won a lot of money on Coach Manny Robles fighters coming in as underdogs multiple times over the last few years, starting back with Andy Ruiz beating Anthony Joshua. We know about the Rafa Espinoza fight, the first fight against Robesi Ramirez. I already talked about the Brandon Figueroa fight against Nick Ball, and Armando's last fight, a plus 600 against Caleb, and Resendiz won. So you know he has a team that's prepared. You know the game plan is going to be ready. And I expect Resendiz to add to what we saw in the version against Plant. When we think about his opponent Munguia, we have to think this is the style. He is leveled up, and with that style, has he degraded? Some people will say yes, some people will say no. Only time will tell come fight night. It makes for a very intriguing matchup. Right now, I do want to take a closer look at the Las Vegas odds, but before we do that, I do live streams every day. I take your questions. All the JSB insiders are in those live streams. I feature these questions, and it's a live chat in which we go over our props, our parlays, our underdogs of the week, UFC bets. In these Stats Don't Lie videos, you're only going to get my money line prediction. All right, guys, wherever you are in the world, let's pull out our betting apps. Currently, the A side, the world champion Armando Resendiz is the underdog. You put $100 on Resendiz, you get your money back plus 155. So not quite a 2-to-1, but a plus money dog. Jaime Munguia is the favorite. You put 100 on Munguia, you get your money back plus $58. Guys, I recently did a poll on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, search Johnny Stofko. Just say, hey, Jay, it's so-and-so from YouTube. I'll give you a follow back. Over 2,500 people voted on this fighter poll when I asked who wins. 64% of you guys said Jaime Munguia is going to win versus 36% of you taking Armando Resendiz. When I think about what has pulled me into going to the direction of who I'm going to take, I think about this punch stats that we talked about. Munguia is showing signs of slowing down, not punching as much. Armando Resendiz is showing signs of leveling up at this stage of his career. He's a little bit younger. I think he's a little bit more fresh, it's safe to say. Neither guy is a finished product, but I feel Resendiz is the one adding levels and layers to the game. You mix that with the coaching corners. We know that Jaime Munguia recently joined forces with Eddie Reynosa, and we know about the story between Armando Resendiz and Coach Manny Robles. When I think about the odds and you're giving me the world champion, a kid at 27 who's confident, who's learning how to use his strengths to his advantage, going in once again as the underdog, but he's the champion, you can never speak enough about the confidence that that belt gives you around your waist. I'm going to go with, you know what time it is, boys. We're putting the hat on. We're going dog hunting. The swindler is back. I'm taking Armando Resendiz at plus 155. You give me him at plus money. I think the time is now, and it's a perfect time to catch Jaime Munguia. I don't think that Munguia is the same guy he was 3 years ago, and I don't think that he's going to get any better. I think Toro is going to bully him. We saw signs of him bullying a bigger man in Caleb Plant, and I think it's going to be business as usual. This is a very contentious fight, both in my Discord and online, and this is not an echo chamber. So in the comment section below, right now, leave the receipts. Who you going with, Armando Resendiz or Jaime Munguia? Also, guys, stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't seen my breakdown, analysis, and prediction of the main event on this card between David Benavidez and Zurdo Ramirez, stay tuned because that's coming up right now.